Hello and welcome to Church and State with Stephen Cox. This is a show dedicated to all things Catholicism, all things politics, and everything in between. Today's guest is a veteran of the traditional Catholic movement, an old G, as the kids say these days. I wanted to have him on to discuss the latest developments with his project, Sister Lucy Truth, which purports to present evidence that Sister Lucia, one of the three seers of Our Lady of Fatima, was replaced by an impostor sometime in the 20th century. A claim that, if true, would have monumental consequences for the Church. I want to welcome to the show now Dr. Peter Chojnowski. Thank you for coming on, Doctor.
Hello, Stephen. How are you? Great to talk to you.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember the last time we actually did a podcast. It was 2016. It was for Magnificat Media, and you had not yet started Sister Lucy Truth. And
Right.
I forget what we talked about, but it was a good show because I remember you were one of the first guests. So thank you for coming on. I'll bookending this last decade.
A new beginning, yeah. So
That's right.
many more things. Yeah, a lot of water under the bridge since then, but
Yeah.
things keep getting more and more interesting, as you know.
Yeah, and we'll talk about, I think, too, at the end, sort of the changes you've seen, because you've been in tradition for, I mean, it's got to be over 40, 50 years now, and, you've been a wise voice and involved in many affairs. But let's first start with your, I guess, new apostolate, if you will, founded in 2017, Sister Lucy Truth. Can you just tell us generally, why did you start this? I mean, did a voice come from above and say you have to do this, or did you see a picture of Sister Lucy and say, hey, that's something strange, I need to look more into this? Tell us more about the genesis of what you're doing
Right.
now.
Well, I have been working with Father Gruner at the Fatima Center since 2000, and so I was going around the world speaking about Sister Lucy, not so much Sister Lucy, but the Fatima apparitions, the Third Secret, and especially about the miracle of the Sun. And this went on until 2017. Also partnering, and giving lectures and writing articles for the Catholic Family News, which was owned by Father Gruner. So Fatima was sort of in my bloodstream, and it's been in my bloodstream for a long time. Joining the Blue Army in the 1970s. My birthday is October 13th, so there's that connection there. So this was part and parcel of my life. And but in 2017, I began to look at pictures, a couple of articles that had been put on before by Dr. Marian Horvat, on the Tradition and Action site. And honestly, they were about Sister Lucy, comparing old and new pictures, and pre-1967 and then 1967 and post-1967. And it really shocked me profoundly, because even all those years, being part of the Blue Army, working for Father Gruner, and at the Fatima Center, and going around the world talking about Fatima, the Tui apparitions and all these various things. I had never really looked at Sister Lucy. I had never really looked at pictures of Sister Lucy other than when she was a child. And this was just, I don't know, when I saw the pictures and how strange it was, because comparing even the profiles, some of the pictures from 1946 when she went to Fatima, comparing them to her appearance with Paul VI in 1967. I said to myself, there seems to be some problem here. There seems to be some difficulty that I had never known about in any way. I know others had come up with some things in the past, and pointed out the disparity between the facial characteristics of the pre-67 Lucy and the post. But I had never focused on it myself. And when I pointed these discrepancies, these problems out to a friend of mine who also worked at for Catholic Family News and the Fatima Center, Cornelia Ferreira, she said, "Well, do something about it. Why don't you, investigate it? But it's got to be a scientific investigation. It's got to be a serious investigation that's not theological, but it's forensic and scientific, because really, Stephen, we're asking an ontological question. Are these people the same person? Is this individual the same person? Is the woman appearing pre-67 the same person as the one appearing 67 and post-67? We're asking this kind of basic ontological, metaphysical question. And so I took up the task, and it wasn't easy because I'm not an investigator. So we started, hiring some investigators. Some friends of mine started helping me get together videos and all the pictures we could get hold of from even the official books that were put out by the shrine at Fatima, and all the various images that are available today that weren't available in the past. We started collecting them together, collecting the video evidence, collecting the handwriting evidence, and from her memoirs, from her writings in the past, pre-67, and some letters post-67. And we started finding experts who are at the top of their field to analyze this material from their own professional perspective. And we asked them to write reports on what they found. And the first report we got was through a private investigator, but using facial recognition technology, was in late June 2018. And that was the first time that there was indicated to me that these are two different people. The facial recognition technology indicated these are two different people. Right. And that was the first time.
So the thing that really strikes me about this is that it's plainly obvious that the facial recognition, as you showed, and we'll bring it up, I'll get back on the screen here. These are clearly two distinct people. The chin is very noticeable. Right. The nose, even maybe the eyebrows and the forehead. Was that the findings of the experts that you enlisted? And were these experts even Catholic? Do they even know about this possibility? I mean, I imagine you just said, "Can you tell me who these people are and if they're the same?" And then that was it, right? I mean,
yeah. Basically, that's what we asked. We didn't, provide them with a theological and background, or everyone had some idea of who she was, because the Fatima is still is still there. And when anyone thinks of the Catholic faith, Fatima tends to come to mind. These are educated people. So, but we didn't hire them because they were Catholic. I don't even know. Most of them, to my knowledge, aren't Catholic and were not, associated with the church. They're not associated with the church in any way, but they just analyzed everything from their own perspective, from their own professional perspective. We have, Lois Gibson, who has the Guinness Book of World Records for identifying the most criminals through her forensic art.
Wow.
And, over 1,600 successful identifications. And she wrote 3 reports for us, 2 reports dealing with the question, are these the same person? And then another report dealing with the question of was the woman who appeared in 1967, the same woman who appeared in 1982 and after, until her death in 2005. And Lois Gibson wrote these 3 reports, and she also sent me an email, and part of it's included in the report, which said that it's impossible because of the radically differing facial structures. It's impossible that these be the same person. Impossible. And she says, I've done dentistry. I've in the 70s, I was trained in dentistry. I was trained in fitting dentures. And so I know this aspect also, along with my forensic arts. And she was definitive. She says it's impossible that they be the same person. And one thing, of course, that's always mentioned by these experts is the chin and the profile. And of course, these experts know that age is a factor, right? I mean, you have to consider age. They're not morons. And age and, lighting and situations. But she not only said that they're 2 different people, but there was the same imposter from 1967 all the way to 2005. So there was one woman substitute that we were dealing with. Also, but the plastic surgeons, the maxillofacial surgeons, all said the same thing, and they, pointed to various things that, from their professional perspective, showed that these were 2 different people.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into the ramifications of this for the church and how other traditional Catholics and even just North Orthodox Catholics have responded to it. But there has been some developments on this. I know you presented at a conference recently some of your findings, and again, very scientific, very ontological, as you said, anatomical. And so, what did you talk about, and where were you at?
Well, I was in Columbus, Ohio, and it was May 9th of this year, 2025. The Ohio State Coroners Association invited me to make a presentation of the Sister Lucy case to them in their general session. And there was well over 100 coroners there in attendance. This is their annual conference, and I was invited by the board. And so I went there and I made the conference. I presented the conference for 1 hour through video and through pictures and through my own explanation of what this was. I made the presentation that there was 2 Sister Lucys involved in the life of Sister Lucy, from being the seer of Fatima to her death in 2025. There was actually 2 women and an imposter. One of them, of course, was an imposter. And it was very well received, the presentation at the end of it, because, this was the first real professional organization that I presented the information to, the findings to. And at the end of it all, after that hour, I asked them, who thinks it's the same person, being presented, and, please raise your hand. And of course, nobody raised their hand, and they shouted out, "Nobody does."
All right. Yeah.
And then I asked, well, who thinks it's 2 different people that are presented here? And the hands went up, and they shouted out, well, everybody does. So that was something, interesting and, well, heartening for me, because, there's professional people are recognizing what I've recognized, in the course of this investigation, after looking at all these reports coming in. And if I could read it to you, I don't know if you have the letter. I don't know if I sent it to you, but if I
Yeah, 1 second here. I think this is the
okay,
one you're referring to. 1 second. I'll get it on the screen here. There we are.
that's it. Yeah,
You see
that's
that?
it.
Okay.
If you want to read it, I can read it. It's from one of the coroners who was present at the conference and who wrote me a letter thanking me and also expressing his appreciation and his judgment
Mhm.
about the findings and the facts involved.
Yeah. So this is Dr. Jeffrey Beery, it looks
Yes,
like, Highland
yes.
County Coroner. Thank you for traveling to Columbus, Ohio this past weekend. I found your presentation very helpful and slowly, logically, and methodically breaking down the components of visual identification. All of us Ohio coroners and investigators do this primarily intuitively by looking at pictures, but breaking down the science of this with expert letters from world-renowned scientists will be helpful to me and many others for future use in our legal obligation to properly identify the deceased. More specifically, the photographs of Sister Lucia, the Fatima visionary, showed a clear fraud. It's very big. Pre-1960 Lucia visionary was replaced by an imposter in 1967. Okay, well, right after the council, right? Paul VI era. The evidence you presented was completely convincing as to this point, and 100% of our coroners and coroners investigators present at the meeting, totaling over 100, all agreed they were two different people. This is a landmark thing, Doctor. This is immense credit to yourself. I mean, what was your reaction when you read this letter? I mean, it had to only validate, what
Yeah,
you
it
were working on.
validates everything. And I knew the attitude of the coroners when I was there, but this is it's great to have on paper.
Hmm.
It's so heartening to see that again, what I've experienced is clearly what they experienced. And they're this is what we wanted. And I'll go before any state coroners association and present our material no matter what. Mississippi, you got Michigan up there, anywhere you like, I'll present our material and I'll see if I get a different reading on the whole thing. I doubt it, but perhaps. But this Ohio conference really showed that the facts are there. It's actually everything is presented, it becomes very obvious to people when they look at the pictures. And of course, some of the coroners want to go farther and ask about the obvious conspiracy that was involved to substitute
Yeah.
such an important person for substitute her out.
Hmm.
And but
Now,
I didn't get into that at all
yeah.
because of course that's not part of our investigate. That's not what I was presenting,
Mhm.
and we don't know at this point what happened to her or the real Sister Lucy or who the imposter was. Even
Huh.
though slowly but surely we're getting some clues.
I was going to ask, what is the next stage in all this? Because it would seem to me to be, who is this person who was in her place? Was it maybe even a mask? I know there's all sorts of stuff that people have said about Joe Biden, wearing a mask. Is it really him? Paul VI, even some people have said, that he had some facial changes. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but where is the next stage in your investigation go? Now that it seems to me you've proven beyond a reasonable doubt that this was some sort of swap
Well,
that took place.
yeah, generally speaking, we want to find out what happened to the real Sister Lucy and then find out who the imposter was. And by finding out who the imposter was, perhaps we can find out the motive for such a shocking replacement and such a eerie, bizarre, presentation of someone who is false
Hmm.
to the world. This woman is the seer, the only surviving seer of Fatima. Of course, Jacinta and Francisco died very young,
Hmm.
in 1919 and 1920. So we want to find out who the real Sister Lucy, what happened to her, and who the fake was, who the imposter was. We've already had some linguist at the University of Coimbra which is the city, very famous university. Coimbra is where the convent is, where Sister Lucy lived as a Carmelite. She was, part of that convent. But the university there, we found a linguist who analyzed the videos of the imposter Sister Lucy, and to try to locate her accent, and both demographically and sociologically, like what class of people in Portugal she would be part of, what region of Portugal she was from. And we had so far we had some definite results. This linguist was able to locate her accent to the Viseu city, which is in northern Portugal.
The imposter, right? That's what
the imposter, yeah.
Wow.
Imposter, Viseu city, which is in northern Portugal, not close to Fatima at all, and north of Coimbra. So, and she was able to say it's sort of an urban accent, urban suburban accent, not, highly educated person. So
is the theory that, you just grab some maybe poor woman off the street, maybe give her family a bunch of money, and as long as she plays this role,
I don't know,
because she'd have to be faking living in a convent or the rest of her life.
Right? Yeah,
that seems very bizarre.
That's the amazing thing. Obviously, the woman's a native Portuguese speaker, because that's clear from the tapes, and it would be hard to bring someone in from outside the cultural context. She's a native Portuguese speaker. I don't know. Most people think that she was a religious nun, because in order to take on that life, you had to be familiar with the whole lifestyle. But also, the question is, who would be able to drop their own life and take up the life of somebody else? If you look, that's the big question. And there's so many interesting aspects of this. And when did she come on? When did they actually bring this woman on? Because in the pictures from 1967, which we have on our website, we've divided up the pictures into the various time frames, childhood, when she was in the convent up to 1960, say, and then the 67 event where she appeared with Paul VI on the 50th anniversary of the apparitions of Fatima, and then all the time she appeared with John Paul II post 1982 and after that. And she appeared many times on videos and at masses and personal meetings with John Paul II. The question is, how can someone drop their own life and take up someone else's life? It looks like from those you can see them there, those 1967 pictures, I think the woman looks no more than 40. And she's supposed to be 60. Does that look 60 to you?
I don't think so. No, it should be obvious to anybody who's looking at this. And it does. You do have to have a bit of skepticism too, because like you're saying, like how could someone just adopt this, live a fake life? And if she's a religious, she's presenting herself as somebody else, so her whole life's a lie,
right?
And she's going to hell for that. And I guess then the next question is, I guess maybe we'll table that, and I hope the investigation finds out something, more about this. Is to what end then, right? Why would the Vatican presumably be, aware and knowingly
Sure.
approving all this, have her either if she was killed or if she just died, presumably to cover up the third secret and to then later give approval, because I think the fake one said John Paul's consecration in '84 was
Correct.
legitimate and was
Yes.
accepted. So you could
Yes.
fake that, right? And that's the whole point of having a fake
And
Sister
also,
Lucy,
she
right?
she fundamentally changed the Fatima message. Um, I'm, I'm sure you're aware of Carlos Evaristo's interviews with her, both
No,
in
please explain. No.
okay. Carlos Evaristo, who is a Portuguese man, well heeled, educated. He used to work for the Fatima Center for a short time, I believe. No, I know he did. And now he's become sort of an ambassador for the whole Fatima message, if you will, or what I would say was, the fake Sister Lucy program. And he interviewed her in 1982 for the first time. It was actually October 11th, 1992. And then 1 year later, he interviewed her on October 11th, 1993. And of course, October 11th is in itself important because that's the day that Vatican II began, right? In 1962, it began on October 11th with that famous speech by John the 23rd condemning the prophets of doom.
Diatribe.
Yeah, prophets of doom. And I don't know. The real Sister Lucy was pretty much a prophet of doom.
That's right.
Like if you don't repent, God's going to punish the world big time.
Yeah.
That's pretty much prophet of doom. It didn't go along with their, namby-pamby view of the world that came from Vatican II and their new modernist reinterpretation of the faith. But anyways, Carlos Evaristo interviewed her, and we have videotapes of her answers on that October 11th day, 1993, and she says some amazing things that totally contradict what the original Sister Lucy, the real Sister Lucy, said. For example, she says that the conversion of Russia doesn't involve Russia being converted to the Catholic faith. It involves a conversion of a nation so that everyone could follow their own religion.
Yeah, that's Vatican II.
And
Catholicism, yeah.
find their own truth and find their own religion and practice their own religion. So basically, religious liberty.
Yeah,
Which
John
would be
Paul II,
totally
Assisi
yeah,
II sort of stuff.
absolutely. And also, all the third secret wasn't to be revealed to the world. It was just for the Pope, which is totally a fraud, which is totally the opposite of what the real Sister Lucy said.
Yeah.
And so many other things in that interview. To his credit, we know that Carlos Evaristo, and we know this by an interview that was given to the Wanderer by Dr. Zugaby. Carlos Evaristo went from that interview of the fake Sister Lucy in 1993. He went actually to the Portuguese police. And he said, well, do you know about this? What's happened to the real Sister Lucy? I mean, this woman, she's not the real one. What's going on? And do you know about this? And the Portuguese police sent him to this Dr. Zugaby, who told him, no, everything's fine. I've researched it and everything's fine, and not to worry. It's the real one. And Carlos himself wrote me in the beginning of this investigation. I don't know him personally at all. I know
Yeah,
many
yeah.
people, but I never met him.
Did Father Gruner have an opinion on fake Sister Lucy, or did he know Carlos
Well,
here? What was his thoughts on this?
well, in his book, he ends up saying he thought that there could be a fake Sister Lucy inserted in that 1993 interview
Hmm.
with Carlos Evaristo. But he didn't come down on the side of there being a fake Sister Lucy.
Okay.
And even at the end of his life, he was saying, well, no. But the thing is, the same woman who appeared with Carlos Evaristo is the woman that appeared in 1967, is the woman who appeared in 1980s and all the way to
Hmm.
through 2000 and up to 2005. It was the same woman.
Yeah.
So if that's a fake, they're all fake. But
Yeah.
of course, dear Father Gruner, who was a dear friend of mine, died in 2015 before we started our investigation. And so there's not one doubt in my mind that if I presented him with the evidence that you have in front of you, that
Hmm.
he would say that there was a fake Sister Lucy. There's no doubt in my mind. And a co-worker with him, Father Paul Kramer, has definitely has agreed that there was a fake Sister Lucy put in the place of the authentic
Yeah.
seer of Fatima.
So how has this revelation really impacted the Fatima community, if you will? There is the Fatima Center. Father Gruner and used to work with John Benari, who is also now passed. I imagine there's been a reaction to it, maybe in the near term, sort of some incredulity, maybe questioning you, your motives, or your findings. But it seems to me irrefutable. I'm not. I haven't looked at it too closely, but everything you're saying makes complete sense, and I have no reason to doubt it, and it looks obvious to me. So, I mean, how has the traditional community, Catholic community, responded to your revelations here?
Well, the Fatima Center in last May of last year, the spring of last year, put out a version, seasonal printing of the Fatima Crusader, and they acknowledged explicitly that there was a substitute Sister Lucy from 1967 on. They acknowledged that there was a substitute Sister Lucy, but they sort of try to minimize the significance of that fact. And they said it doesn't matter for our appreciation of the Fatima message. It's not, it's sort of a side thing. But I would say to them that it does very much matter, because when we're looking for the authentic message of Fatima, we have to look to the authentic words of the authentic Sister Lucy.
Hmm.
So everything which cannot be traced to the authentic Sister Lucy, just say pre 1960, that's the authentic Sister Lucy we're certain of. That has to be, everything after that has to be dismissed as fraudulent or as totally suspect,
Hmm.
right? And because there's no evidence at all, and I've been asking for years, show me real evidence in pictures, in accounts by people who would have met them, that the real Sister Lucy was present on the scene while this fake was also present
Hmm.
on the scene. I've never seen them together in pictures. I've never had seen it shown to me that they were together. There's no accounts of priests saying, well, I met with this woman who was the real Sister Lucy, and she wasn't the one they put on the screen, and she wasn't the one that they pull out at papal masses and papal meetings. They're not the same person. We've never had accounts like that at all presented to us, and I know of none. Everyone who was meeting with Sister Lucy, post 1960 or 1960 and after, thought that this woman was the real Sister Lucy.
Right. So I guess then this does cast out strong doubt, probably irrefutable pushback against the so-called secret that was revealed by the Vatican in the year 2000, the third secret there. What is? I mean, you generally, I think, probably would say that was a fake too, right? That document that was released.
Well, interestingly enough, we passed that document to our forensic the handwriting expert that we hired, and we presented all her writings to, and some more recent letters after 1967 to him. And he said the letters that we presented after 1967 were fraudulent. They were cleverly done, frauds, but frauds nonetheless. But he said that the vision that she had written down, that the Vatican released, was authentic. He said that was authentic, but that finding would just fit in with the general take, even of the Fatima Center, that this was a vision that was presented to the children and described by Lucia, but there's no accompanying explanation of what the vision means. And the Vatican in 2000 sort of gave their own explanation. Cardinal Ratzinger gave his own explanation of what the vision meant, but we don't have the words of Our Lady as to what that vision meant, like we have the explanation from Our Lady of what the first secret, the vision of hell, what that vision meant. So there's been a book written by Mr. Soshi, the fourth secret. There's some other part of the third secret that has not been revealed, that even though this vision seems to be authentic, what does it mean really? What does the angel mean? What does this man and bishop dressed in white mean, heading to this very unique cross, made out of a very unique form of wood that's characterized, that appears in Portugal.
Yeah, I think Father Hess, or Father Hesse, I don't know how you say his name. He's deceased now, but he said something to the effect that the language that was used would not have necessarily fit with a sort of vision, because the term corpses was used. And I remember very vaguely him saying something to that effect, and he sort of doubted the entire secret that they gave to the world at that time.
But one thing, I mean, I didn't believe that this was, when it came out in 2000, I of course didn't believe that this was the full third secret, or that even this was the third secret at all. But this is what our forensic handwriting analyst came up with. He's a court-approved expert. So I said, okay, this is what we'll put forward. And that report about the third secret, released in 2000, is actually on our website in the handwriting section, so your viewers can look at it there.
So where then does this all end, if you will? I mean, can you put into context the larger crisis? Because it seems clear, Vatican II, there's shady things that happen potentially at the 58 conclave. We know Vatican II was, I call it a color revolution in the church. Russia has never been properly consecrated. This seems to have been a tool to sort of make sure that Russia has not and would not ever be consecrated properly. Can you kind of fit this into the larger crisis? And I mean, in my mind, the last sort of capstone on this is that I think the last time Our Lady appeared to Sister Lucy was 1929, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. And we're coming up on 100 years from that. And if you think back to the French Revolution, right, when Our Lady asked Saint Margaret Mary to tell the king to consecrate France, I think that was 1689, right? 100 years go by, 1789, and you get the French Revolution. So, I
Right.
mean, I don't know. Do you suspect anything is sort of we're coming to a terminal point with all of this, and with Sister Lucy having
Well,
the
I
fake
think
mummy
that
playing a role there?
there's got to be a reason why they went out on a limb and tried this.
Right.
Because personally, even though we had to get all, we need all this forensic reports, we need all the scientific evidence, we need all that, and this expert analysis, but I don't think they found someone who looks remotely like the real Sister Lucy. They they were really going out on a limb and hoping that nobody noticed. Well, someone has noticed, and now a little part of the world has noticed also. And so, what would justify that kind of chance, that kind of gamble? I think the real Sister Lucy would not have gone along with the revolution in the church post 1960, because
Yeah.
if she did go along with it, why would they need to replace her?
Right.
If she was going to go along with it, why did they need to get this woman with the big chin? Why would they need to do that?
Right.
So obviously they knew that she wouldn't. And I don't think personally that she died and then they replaced her, because, well, there's several reasons why, but why would they need to? Just, she's dead and she was always a faithful nun, and and the secret is not significant for our time, or they could say whatever they want. Why would they need her to disappear and a new Sister Lucy to appear? My only thinking is that she would not go along with the revolution in the church beginning in 1960 and after. But this new substitute went along with everything.
Yes.
And of course, we have a letter from Sister Lucy from 1969 in which she says, which was just when the Mass was being changed and substituted really for something else, where she says that, you have to stay with the Pope, and he who is not with the Pope is not with God. At this critical moment, and praising Paul VI in this letter in 1969, which Bart Baggett, our handwriting analyst, who we asked to look at this material, said was a fraudulent letter. So
that seems to give it away right there. They needed her to baptize the revolution and
yeah,
to
if she
give her imprimatur, to give Mary's imprimatur, if you will, to the whole
absolutely,
conciliar
Mary's
church.
imprimatur. And remember, if you look at those videos and those pictures from 1967, May 13th, when she's appearing with Paul VI, he is definitely at the center of attention. This is when he wanted her blessing to everything that would come after and everything that had gone before. And there's these totally, if you watch the video, and it's very difficult to find, but if you watch the video, when Paul VI brings on Sister Lucy onto the stage, she raises his hand up in the air, raises his hand up in the air and shakes it and holds it up as if he's just won, a basketball tournament or something. And she wants the audience to cheer him on. I mean, if anyone knew the pictures and the videos and the writings of the real Sister Lucy, this would be the farthest thing from her behavior that could be ever imagined. and they found a woman who not only could drop her own identity, but was good with the public, could mix with the public, would have no problem appearing in public and pushing the agenda that the Vatican wanted pushed. And I mean, a lot of interesting things come up that we can. They're not in scientific reports, and they're hearsay evidence, but so many things come up in this investigation, and people contact me. And one thing that was said recently, a man wrote me, and he had written me before, but this is the first time he told me about a situation that he was in Coimbra when he was younger. He and the fake sister Lucy was alive, but he thought it was the real one, of course. That he was at a mass at the convent at Coimbra, and I don't know if a Carmelite convent, but you could see there's like the grate, and when the priest is giving out communion at the proper time, the grate is open. There's like a box in the grate where you could see the nuns as they come up to receive communion. And in a traditional convent, usually always the priest puts the host, consecrated host, on the tongue of the nun. But in this case, when this man was visiting the Carmelite convent, he actually saw Sister Lucy receive communion in the hand, be given communion in the hand, as the other nuns were also. And this was at a Novus Ordo mass, and in Portuguese, she received communion in the hand, which really scandalized him at the time.
Yeah.
And
again, using her as a mascot for the conciliar revolution.
That's what it was. And she was very affable. She idolized John Paul II. She, pictures of her kissing his hand and holding his hand for long periods of time. And, on her deathbed, she's holding a letter from John Paul II. And then, of course, we find out in 2000 that the third secret's actually about John Paul II and the assassination attempt against him in 1981. So the whole secret ended up being about John Paul II, which was very convenient. For some reason in 1960, you had to, tell about a pope, an assassination attempt against a pope that was going to happen in 1981, 21 years in the future. Why would that be the essence of the third secret?
Yeah. No, I think it's a clear, what you've laid out here is very irrefutable and extremely helpful in covering the truth. We want to start wrapping up here. Do you have any other things you can update us on as to where your investigation's heading, and ultimately it might not ever get out ultimately that the Vatican's going to ever admit this. What is your ultimate goal other than just raising public awareness here? Is it the hope that someday the church will admit this and everything will come out and we'll see the truth of what it is?
I think just like we've had to, and so far we're going to have to force their hand in some way. And I think the next stage is making contacts, and we already have them, but getting boots on the ground in Portugal and really looking at the crime scene, because remember, this is a crime scene, okay? And one of the parts of the letter from this coroner said that this is a possible case of murder. And so there's the last part of that letter. But so this is a crime, whether it's identity theft or, or murder. The fake Sister Lucy also voted for in the place of the real Sister Lucy. We have video of that, and we've shown it on Twitter and other in our website. She voted, and she couldn't even remember her own name that was on the voting card. So yeah, you can see that. I put it on Twitter, and we have it on our website. But yeah, she Sister Lucy Truth, we on our X account, and so this is at least a case of voter fraud and identity theft or murder. So this is a crime, and we are pursuing it as such. And again, it seems like we need to focus on Portugal and Rome, tell you the truth, because in my mind, almost 60 years a Catholic, from birth, from baptism, you have to say that the Vatican's going to be involved in a decision like this. You're not going to have the real Sister Lucy disappeared without the sign off of the Vatican, and I would say the highest levels of the Vatican.
Right.
I don't think I'm wrong on that.
Right. Well, you've done a great service here. However it shakes out, we know on Judgment Day the truth will be revealed, and I think what you've done here is to do that. And I really hope it continues to be exposed, and we'll continue to watch this and follow this. So come back anytime to talk about the latest, what's going on. But where else can we find you other than the websites? What else are you up to these days?
Well, yeah, we're also on Twitter. I'm giving a lot of talks on American history and significance of that, and sort of going against the typical narrative. And so I'm involved in that. I'm other interviews about current issues, and plus my teaching career. So
you're staying busy.
I stay busy, yeah. Plus having six sheep, a dog, 4 cats, and a garden. So
yeah, no slowing down. That's good.
No slowing down.
That's all right.
Well, it's good to talk to you, Stephen.
Yeah, pleasure is all mine, and thanks for coming on. And we'll pray for you and pray for your efforts, and pray to Our Lady of Fatima to continue to intervene and show us the way forward in this crisis. So thank you again, Dr. Chojnowski, and thank you everybody for tuning in today to this episode of Church and State. And God bless you, and goodbye.
Thank you.